Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am going to be doing a little video here on colors because I often do these city view studies, and before I actually do the paintings, I always work them out in my sketchbook, and that's what I love about these little sketchbooks I make. Now, the sketchbook is actually very, very fancy. It is a sketchbook that I made by hand out of Arches watercolor paper because I love Arches paper. So I prefer to even have my sketchbooks on that, or I've also done them in the Hahnemühle paper, which I also really, really love. And this has been just a beautiful paper to play around with and do things with, you know. But see, I always work out these little things in these sketchbooks and look for colors, teach you things about brush strokes, you know. So of course, if there's anything that you'd like to see or learn, some of these are in my watercolor classes. I'll link those in the description below. But aside from that, I'm always doing little studies in my watercolor journals. Yeah, it's great to look back at them, right? Because you see, like, when you got different paints and how I kind of worked it out and figured out what I wanted to do. But anyway, I make these journals. I love them. That's just my thing these days. I actually have a video up about how I made them. This one I made with like a tape, which actually was like a glue tape, and I sewed it so that I could get some areas where I could open it, you know, completely out. So anyway, I thought I would film this video for you because I'm going to be doing kind of like a way of working out what colors I'm going to choose in a couple of upcoming pieces. So I'm not going to do the full um, artist quality painting right now, but this is how I choose the colors. And I think for beginners, this is really, or even intermediate, this is a really great way for you maybe to get familiar with some different color combinations, and also perhaps figure out a way to work this out for yourself if you haven't done this before, you know, because I think it's kind of interesting to see the process of someone as they work through, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly of the watercolors. So I'm going to be using my Roman Szmal watercolor set, which I absolutely love. I actually have some additional colors up here. And just so you know, if you are first to this video, then you should know there is a Roman Szmal watercolor sale going on. So if you want this, it's a great time to pick up this set. It is an incredible set. It really is great for beginners because the paint is so easy to use, as you're going to see. It mixes well. I love the consistency of it. And I find that for beginners, it doesn't confuse you. This wood box is really all you need. It's got everything in it. And then if you eventually want to add some more paint, then great. You know, you can add some more paint. But aside from that, amazing. I'm so happy with it. So this little divide here is just a couple of little little sample areas for me and some note areas. I just like to kind of have a start, and I don't really, it's nothing fancy, truly. So this is just to get started. This is a black liner that I love. They're waterproof, and because they're water-based, they do wash out. They're made in Germany, and literally this is the only permanent marker company that I use these days, just because, oh my goodness, can I just tell you that when it bleeds, oh, it's the worst thing in the world, right? This dries really fast. So on my desk here, I have some different waters. I always keep one for yellow, red, and blue, and I try to just dip the yellow, red, and blue, and then I keep two clean on the side. That is just so that I just don't have to keep changing. And literally I can go like this for a while, because literally, even though this is dirty water, it's yellow. So it's really not going to change much for me. So to start with, I'm going to choose a couple of different yellows. I wanted to see if Aquarius yellow was something that could possibly work out as one of my sky colors. So I'm just going to put a swatch of it here. And I'm going to start, I know you're like, what is she doing? I was going to start streaking some of the color in, and just to kind of see what happens. See, I already messed up my water. So that's Aquarius yellow. Let's write that down. And you can get these on open stock if, what did I do? I think this one's out of juice. Oh no, it must just be the rough paper. It's just got to get working. Okay, so that's Aquarius yellow. For blue with this, I think I'm going to go with, I want something kind of different and moody. Let's try my Prussian blue. So, yeah, see how nice and moody that is? Beautiful. So now I'm going to just lay this in across and just like that to begin with. And then for my red, I think I'm going to go more pinky red. So Quin Fuchsia is one of my favorites. So let's do Quin Fuchsia. And we're going to put that here, a little here. Let it just kind of shape in. Okay, so rinse it out. And now I'm just going to kind of take my brush and encourage it to bleed just a little bit, leaving some white still in that area. Let me get you a better view here. And this is just me kind of mixing the colors together, right? So here I can literally, my dog's underneath she's underneath me. Oh, come on, Sky. I can literally start mixing these three together in my little box here to see what kind of purples I'm going to get and to see what kind of oranges I'm going to get. See what I mean? And that just helps me kind of envision, if I were to use these, like what would that look like, you know? Like how beautiful are these purples right now? They're really, really pretty. And that just gave me another really good idea. And that's why I have this second little area here. So pretty. So when the magenta, or that, what is it, Quin Fuchsia? When that mixes here, it gives us a whole different value. And then I can just dry brush this across. Oh, that's so lovely. Get some of the light pink. Let it just bleed a little bit. Yeah, it's really pretty. Add a little water to it. Let it mix and maybe go back in a couple places and just darken the values up a bit. So this is just me kind of defining my shapes a bit so that I can get a quick little fun sketch. And see, you know, if maybe this is something that I want to mess further with, right? Do that. I really love, I'm kind of right now just so enamored by the way these two colors mix together. They really mix well together. And see the beautiful like granulation. This is really pretty. Again, just a sketch, you know, nothing, no too pressure, just let it kind of play. If you get a little too much water, you can peel it back with a rag and just see if you know what happens to the moodiness. I really even love what's happening when the yellow mixes in there. That's pretty interesting, you know? Like this is, I think I tried to control this like a little too much on this one. And I think I could probably work some better things into it just by going back and using that as just a light layer. You know, a lot of times I'll see something in my paintings and I'm like, you know, that looks awful. But then I realize that that could just be the first layer and I could just add some water, kind of wipe it around, and then that becomes um, just, you know, the back layer, the shadow layer. Like this, if this is too bright, I can just peel it back a little bit and then go back once it dries and get some more definition in there. And in fact, I think sometimes when you do that, you create these nice little elements that you only get with watercolor, you know? See what I mean? Yeah, so now I'm just kind of looking. You know, it would have been really cool to use that, to try this volcano yellow that I got the other day to see the granulation in it. See if it like if it really granulates. We could we could just try it. Stick it on the paper. Why not? See how easy it re-wets. I've heard it doesn't re-wet very easily. Yeah, it doesn't re-wet very easily. It is in there pretty solid, huh? It's like I'm getting it, but it's nowhere near the brightness that I want. It's coming. So I probably won't really, like, what I'll do is I'll keep this pan for when I'm using this, and I'll just pour some fresh granulating yellow in there. It's actually not the brightness that I really prefer for these. These are really working out really pretty. So let's get away from the sloppy brush because that one has a lot of water. And I'm just going to get something like a plastic card or see what I have here. My little tools. Need something small enough. Here we go. So I'm just going to get like a little spatula, clean it off, and drag it across my Prussian just to grab some Prussian blue on here. And that way I can go back in and kind of define some of this so that I can just work this out. And this is probably a lot more than I usually would do in a study, but I really like these ideas here, so I'm kind of gonna go a little farther with it. I'm just gently scratching in some areas onto this paper, which one thing about even in a sketchbook that this does is this paper handles so well. in a sketchbook. Way easier if it was a larger sheet, but like I said, this is just to see the values and to see how the colors will play together in the lighter values versus the darker values, and also just to kind of experiment with laying down shadows and glazes. You know, this is basically, you know, some of this is dry, so I'm now getting a feel for how easy these colors, you know, can work together or not work together, you know. And look at, I mean, look at how pretty that value is once it starts to dilute out a little bit. I actually really love it. So you can kind of color it in with some water and you've got a whole nother beautiful value coming in. So you could take a brush like this. This is a one that does not hold a lot of water, but I can kind of spread out some of these pieces with just a bit of water without letting it dilute too much. And it allows me to get some of the brighter version of this color so I can get different values. So I usually do several of these, you know, just for fun, just to work them out and see, and then I'll go and start adding in some crazy colors just to see what happens, you know, like a little bit of Quin Magenta, never hurt anyone. Just to see how that might brighten up as a glaze over this. Beautiful. Gives me a little bit of another layer of purple. So let's make sure we put it here on our samples so we remember. There we go. Yeah, that's really pretty, right? So that one there is Quin Magenta. With Prussian blue and the original one, which was Quin Fuchsia. This is Quin Fuchsia and Prussian. And then that one had the yellow, which I like, but I don't like as much, you know. That's really pretty. Okay, so let's move down a little bit here. I'm going to try another combination. This one's going to start with the yellow, but I don't love the Aquarius yellow with this combination as much as I think I'm going to maybe like the Hansa yellow light. It's a little more of a lemon yellow. Gotta get it all nice and clean though, because I've been playing in my palettes a little bit too much, and it looks like it's got a little bit of green or a little bit of blue in there. Okay, let's move this up so you can see better. I keep forgetting to store my pens. What's happening is I'm storing my pens upside down so I can see the number on them. It's not good. Okay, so here we're going to do Prussian again. But I'm also going to do trying to decide if I want cobalt or I think ultra. and Queen Magenta. Okay, so let's grab our Queen Magenta. Beautiful. Our Ultra. Beautiful. Little Prussian for the depth. Yeah, those look really nice together. Okay, so now you're going to see how I just kind of work this out. So I don't know if I'm going to talk through it much, but so this is Queen Magenta mixing with the Ultra Intense. And depending on how much blue I pick up, it kind of graduates. I really like that. I really like that look. This is just wet on dry. And I'm just kind of scratching it while it's still damp, while I can move the paint around just to create some of the buildings. I'm going to see if I get those different beautiful values. And I'm mixing in a little bit of the Prussian as I do dig into the paper a bit. So just scratching the paper. Now you have to have a good paper, you know, like if your paper is really weak and it starts to pill during any of this process, definitely change your paper. I love the way that looks. It's really, really, really pretty. So of course this is going to look completely different on a very like a full sheet of this paper and with more time developing it, but I do really love the way these colors are playing together, and I think they're going to be a lot of fun for sure, you know. Yeah, that brighter yellow just gives us a different shade of orange, and I think it's really nice, you know? It almost develops into a gold, and then if you add a touch more of the magenta, um, I like that it doesn't, it's not really moody, you know? You don't really get, you get a kind of a really pretty bright color. I think if I go with the more golden yellows, it would just be, you know, it would be a lot more moody. Like say we take nickel azo yellow, you can see here how moody that is. Pair it with the same magenta and the orange is, you know, it's a lot different orange, right? It's like a deeper kind of bloodier orange. Take that same with the lemon. Pair it with my quin magenta. Oops. There we go. And the orange is more orange. It's more of like a cad orange. They're similar, but they're not the same at all. See what I mean? This is more of a orangey orange. And if you peel it back, you get the brighter shade of the lemon next to a very, very bright orange. Where here, it's kind of like more of a muted shade of the yellow and a little bit more of a moodier shade of the orange. So I think it just depends on what you like. They're very similar. This is nickel azo. And again, quin magenta. So these are great to do in your sketchbook when you're thinking about doing different things, because you now realize, you know, like, look at what I've just done in what, like 27 minutes? We've done a lot of color study here. We've done a lot of mixing and evaluating between basically ultramarine blue, a little bit of Prussian, a Hansa yellow, which is like a lemon yellow, quin magenta, which is, you know, the best pink if you want a bright pink, because opera pink just fades. So this is a great pink to have. And also quin fuchsia, which is also an amazing pink to have, just a little bit of a deeper pink. So you can see how it's like a little more rosier, moodier pink than the brightness of the quin magenta. Now, quin magenta comes in this Roman Szmal wooden palette. So you get all of these colors that I've been playing with in that palette, you know? There's a French ultramarine, there's a phthalo blue, there's a cobalt, quin magenta, the nickel azo's there, the warmer Aquarius yellow, then the Hansa yellow light. Pyro red's amazing, scarlet red's amazing. I mean, like, all of these, the Paraline green, there's so many colors to play with in this to get so many other colors. And then even like the convenience greens that they add in here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 convenience greens that I use them all. I really do. I don't not use any of them, especially the hooker's green and the chromium green oxide to make, that one makes a nice granulating green. So okay, so this is where I start my studies at, and that's how I kind of like start to evolve them and get them. You can see now as they're drying the difference between the Prussian mixed with the, you know, magentas and or the fuchsias, and the ultramarine intense mixed with the fuchsias. You can also use ultramarine, French ultramarine, or any of your ultramarines, just depending on what you have and what you like. But I mean, you can see now how I can now go back in and just continue to develop this really any way I want. Now that I have these beautiful layers that just came, you know? But having good paper, and I feel like watercolors that you understand, that don't work against you, that perform well. I mean, because if I were going to try this with core or a cheaper watercolor, it would never work the same. The core would definitely fight me on this specific kind of style, because it just wants to take over. Every color you lay down wants to push the other one out of the way. So although that's a really cool idea, and we'll do that on another video, it's not for what I'm looking for here. I needed something I could kind of control, but that really played well and does mix on paper together good, even on wet on dry, And I'll probably at some point do this wet on wet too, just for fun, to see what I get next. But that's how I developed things like these that I did, and how you get those beautiful shades and colors, to melt together and not conflict with each other. Like this has got a little bit of greens in it, but if you notice, there are really nice shades of greens, and then this is nice blues and purples that all evolved as the painting went through the different layers from doing a study like this first. Okay, so I hope that was helpful for you guys. Hope you understood a little bit about maybe some color theory and mixing your paint colors together. Remember, those are just like 3 essential colors, just to kickstart the painting off with, and literally you can get so many different things. I mean, you can imagine, right? When you ask me how many colors do I need, I can't imagine you needing more than this box at all, unless there's some colors that you see that you just get really enamored with. But as you can tell, I am definitely a collector watercolor, because if you look over here, I have colors from everyone, and I've tried so many different things, and I love to play with watercolor. But essentially, this is just really all you need, because you can get every level of green from what I mixed here. You can get every level of yellows and oranges and magentas and purples. So what else is there, right? Except cobalt teal. We can't get cobalt teal. We have to add that later. All right. Have a good one, you guys. Let me know if this was helpful. If you'd like to see more of them, or if you'd like to take a class from me, then certainly sign up at the link below. I've got some really cool classes, including my transparent flower class that is going to be launching soon. These are really fun to do. All right. Take care.